Dantzscher's story began under the bright lights of USA Gymnastics in 1994, when she joined the national team at just 12. By her international debut at the 1996 City of Popes, she was already winning gold, claiming both the all-around and floor titles. With skills like a double-double off bars and a back handspring to full twisting back tuck on beam, she was a world threat, if only she'd made the age cutoff. Charter Oak Gymnastics under coaches Beth and Steve Rybacki quickly became a second home. It was here Jamie met rising star Vanessa Atler. The two trained side by side, best friends chasing the same dream. A sisterhood forged by pressure and hope, built on promises of Olympic glory. But it wasn't just their dream, it was the Rybackis too. Beth, a former gymnast herself, never had her Olympic moment. In her day, she was called the next Olga, until the 1980 boycott ended everything. Now her dream lived through her athletes. But that dream was cracking quickly. Each with their own personal reasons, they both eventually left the Rybackis. Searching for something they both seemed to be missing, care and compassion. Unfortunately, though, for Jamie, reality hit only weeks later. Without gymnastics, college wasn't possible. With her large family, money for school didn't exist. She was forced to make a decision and overhaul her feelings if she wanted to make it. It was then she decided to return to Charter Oak. This time with new resolve, something to prove, and a promise. A promise to give everything she had. A promise to rise, to deliver, no matter how much it hurt. And a promise to earn her place, to fight for her moment.
But Jamie Dantzscher told me when she went back to the Rybacki, she said, "I can't promise you anything but desire and effort." And they said, "Jamie, that's all we've ever wanted you to do."
Big dismount here, double twisting double. Yes. Wow, yes is right. Super difficult, and what a landing.
Never could have predicted that she could thrust herself back into the Olympic picture. But after day one, she's done exactly that. Physical, mental, and gymnastic ability all seems to be peaking at the right time for Jamie Dantzscher.
By the time Olympic trials came, Jamie was ready. It had seemed she kept her promise to the Rybackis. Jamie made the 2000 Olympic team, placing 5th at trials. She was finally the athlete everyone wanted her to be, through endless sacrifice. And her renewed promise to the Rybackis, she had arrived. The world saw a gymnast who had done the work, but never got to see the work that was done. She gave up nearly everything, and in return endured daily abuse. Jamie reflected on her career and training in an emotional foreword for the reprint of Little Girls in Pretty Boxes, a book famous for uncovering the truth of elite gymnastics. I had to accept that my coaches would yell and belittle me on a daily basis. My coaches weighed me every day, called me fat, and told me I needed to lose weight. At 15 years old, I started making myself throw up after meals. When I told someone at USA Gymnastics that I was starving myself and throwing up meals, their only response was, "I don't care how you do it, just get the weight off." She goes on to say, quote, "I was ecstatic when they announced my name for the Olympic team, and in that moment, I did feel as though my dream had come true." But unfortunately, for Jamie, she would soon realize that her Olympic dream was actually her worst nightmare. From the moment she arrived, she was exhausted. Jet-lagged and worn-thin, Jamie Dantzscher arrived in Sydney with dreams of Olympic glory. But instead of gold medals and triumph, it would become the greatest test of her life. The grueling and unforgiving methods of the Karalis already claimed one gymnast, Morgan White, forced out before the competition even began. She could no longer compete on a fractured foot. And just when the named alternate Alyssa Beckerman should have been called, Bella had other plans. Instead, he called Tasha Schweigert, and in a moment's notice, she was on a plane to Sydney. From day one, Olympic training was savage, and sessions were twice a day. Gymnasts peeling off bars, flying off vault, perfection expected with every skill. Yet no energy was provided. The gymnasts were starving, controlled at every waking hour, provided very little to eat, and kept miles from the Olympic Village, isolated and silenced. But Jamie held her composure because complaining wasn't an option. But in a system that valued medals over the health of its athletes, Jamie's body was screaming in protest, intense pressure to become thinner, to compete with a fractured back and a severely sprained ankle. She was starting to crack, not just for Jamie, but for all of Team USA. But this pressure, it became a culture so toxic the abuse was normalized and weaved into every aspect of daily training. The team doctor allowed full access to treat her in her hotel bed, unsupervised. This is where the worst kinds of abuse occurred. A dark cloud that Jamie had not yet fully realized, but there were plenty of dark clouds she did. She became the first Olympian to speak out about Bella's controlling methods. She called him the puppeteer, but with her words came backlash from all sides. Devastated, Jamie assumed the drama had ended, until her father and sister, who had been sightseeing in Sydney, called. They were sideswiped by a bus. Her father in critical care with a brain injury. It had been some Olympics. Jamie couldn't help but wonder, was this all worth it? Because at this point, the only thing good about Sydney was leaving it. The team finished fourth. No medal, no closure, just the hollow ache of almost. The world saw the Magnificent Seven in Atlanta just 4 years prior. A gold medal that changed everything and put Bella on an even higher pedestal. Jamie, however, was one of the first voices against the culture Bella was creating. Her voice was immediately shut down. This article, written by Sally Jenkins, glorifies Bella's training while calling the team's medal hopes a fool's errand. It dismisses Jamie's voice as pouting. There is an ugliness in the US Gymnastics program, judging by the sound of Jamie Dantzscher's lollipop kid voice. Her accusatory finger-pointing trill was far more graceless than our fourth-place finish. The problem is not that Karolyi has had too much control of US gymnastics, but that he hasn't had enough. Jamie Dantzscher says, quote, "Bella takes all the credit when we do good, and blames everyone else when we do bad. It's so not fair." She pouted. "He has too much control, too much of the US team. It's horrible." Without Bella, the US doesn't turn out Mary Lou Rettens, it turns out, Jamie Dantzscher. Long after the headlines faded, the Sydney Six seemed forgotten. And after the heartbreak, Jamie had buried Sydney too. But suddenly, something shocking happened. And this something proved Jamie was right all along. At the 2010 US National Championships, an impromptu Olympic medal ceremony was held to award Sydney's Team USA with an Olympic bronze medal. After a fraud investigation, stemming from a Chinese athlete that competed in Sydney, were confirmed valid, Team USA moved from 4th to 3rd in the official Olympic standings. Jamie said she was never proud to be an Olympian because of her experience. But this more than proved she was enough, that they were enough. It was the medal everyone expected then. It was late, but it finally arrived. But although it showed the world what they had accomplished, it was too late to take back the damage. The words had already been said. The newspapers had already been written. And the emotional and mental toll? It sure didn't feel like a bronze medal. Because the toll? What it really felt like was therapy for an eating disorder. It felt like disconnection from any success, or being haunted by betrayal and manipulation, trapped in hospital walls after a suicide attempt. And for Jamie, and even the rest of her team, although the recognition for their lives' work gave some peace, that bronze medal didn't erase years of anxiety, trust issues, and self-doubt. After the Olympics, Jamie enrolled at UCLA, where she joined the Bruins on a full scholarship. Here, she discovered what gymnastics should feel like. In a more supportive environment, Jamie didn't just succeed, she thrived. She became a collegiate superstar, earning 15 All-American honors and setting a UCLA record with an incredible 28 perfect 10 scores. In 2016, she was inducted into the UCLA Athletics Hall of Fame. But even after the triumph of college, something still didn't feel right. Even in her present-day relationships, Jamie found herself using her trauma responses from gymnastics to cope, allowing those closest to her to take advantage of her heart. But this is when her story would finally come full circle. She realized that the treatments she received while under the care of USA Gymnastics Dr. Larry Nassar, those were not medical treatments. She immediately stepped forward as one of the first Olympians to publicly name Larry Nassar as her abuser, giving testimony before Congress and at his trial. Speaking out was terrifying, but her courage sparked a reckoning, and other survivors followed, and Nassar's conviction and sentencing became a vindication. This, along with holding USA Gymnastics accountable for creating this culture, felt like a greater accomplishment than any Olympic medal. And it was, because Jamie's legacy is more than a medal. It's a movement. Her strength shattered the glass ceilings of silence that once trapped her. And although it had been decades since she promised the Rybakis to give it her all and prove her excellence, while covered in chalk, tears, and desire for her dream, she kept that promise. But today, it's easy to see that Jamie Dantzscher's promise was not only to them, but to everyone who came after. And she kept it.